Exchanging ideas and actions, go ahead, in real time. Good. Now stop. This time I'll start first. You go underneath mine. Here it comes. 1, 2, catch, catch. It hits you right on the wrist. It hits you right on the wrist. It's okay, there's plenty of music. I start first. Hold on. You got this. Don't rush. Here we go. I start. Throw and throw, catch and catch. And twice is hitting on your wrist. You're trying to keep it too long. Use your fingertips. Fingertips, catch, catch, catch. Good. And don't worry, most people don't get that the first time because I start, she's now throwing while catching. It becomes the quick switch that we talked about earlier. But don't think about that, it will confuse you. Instead, just focus on rhythm. You start first, go. Throw, stop. I'll start. There you go. That was a wrist again. Use your fingers. You start, go, throw. Hold on. Make sure you get it to me. Over to my side, right here. That's your target. You go, throw, catch. I want you to get yours across to me. Ready? Across. Go. Throw. Perfect. Now I'll start first. You go across. 1, 2. Very good. Perfect. You start. Good. And then stop. Now I'll start. You got it? Here we go. 1, 2. Give her some love, everybody. She's amazing. So we've done the 6. Now we're going to just try to put it together. So I'll start first. You go underneath mine. Here we go. 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. See how it just starts over? You're almost there. Keep going up. 1, 2, 3, go. 5, 6, 7. Juggling ball. You need to take these with you because you were really, really great. My partner, team practice. If there's a way that I can help further your ambition, please reach out to me. I'd love to also send you one of my books as well, so you can reach out to me. I'm going to give you some ways to do that a little bit later. But wasn't she phenomenal? When you bring someone into your life like that, when you bring a volunteer on the stage, you really invite the whole audience on stage. Did you feel that way? Yeah. Because you took the risk, right? But we all felt it. They were all empathizing with your situation. And your reward, your victory became ours. That's the point of this whole event, ladies and gentlemen. We celebrate each other's victories. I bet you also identified with me as the teacher, didn't you? Oh. Working with someone I really didn't know. And she was excited, that's great, but I didn't know her abilities or her beliefs, and it's the bright lights in the room, 3,000, 4,000 people in here, it's extraordinary. It's like, what's going to happen? So you're paying attention to how I managed that moment, because I believed in her, and I knew you could. The point is, you do both parts every single day. You are both the student and the teacher. That's the concept, that's the fact of infinite growth, of infinite potential. Like my teacher taught me the first time I stepped on stage. He said, Dan, I know you're nervous. Don't worry, every time you do a show, you do 3. So what? He said, the one you plan, the one you do, and the one you should have done that you think about in the car on the way home. You know that feeling. Because every time you show up, there's a way you think it's going to go, what actually happened, like what you should have done that you think about later in that third show. And yet they're all vital. If we don't plan our actions, if we don't take our ambitions and say, we need to understand how this really might work and figure it out, you've got no right to step on stage. But then you go into that moment, your planning's over, you're in there. You've got to see what is actually happening and make adjustments in real time and recognize the gifts you could have never anticipated. And afterward, you're always going to reframe it. And if you keep going through that process, eventually you get to this moment where, yeah, you can take on some bigger deals, some things that might make you nervous. Because here's the fact. If you limit yourself to what's comfortable, you deny yourself what's possible. You hear me? Yes, sir. If you limit yourself to what's comfortable, you deny who? What's possible. What you want. It's just on the other side of that discomfort. So if it's in alignment with your why, you got to go for it. You got to step in. And you get specific about the goal. Here the goal isn't just to make a catch, but more specifically to catch the handle, right? And that's important. But the moment one of them is out of my hand, it's also out of my what? It's out of my control. I need to let it go so I can handle the next one with precision. precision. If you feel overwhelmed in your life, it may be from the inability to disengage from what's already out of your hands. You must let go in order to get a grip, to grasp reality, so you can influence the process. Because even with knives, it's not crazy, it's just the next throw. All right, so I'm going to do this, again, not for the show-stopping applause, but really just so you can understand and see what I'm talking about. It's execution. It's the one in my hand, handled with precision and excellence every single time. But once you're in that moment and flow, you can actually get more creative and challenging, right? And you can make it happen that way too. You can do this. All right, I'll show you one more cool thing because it was in the video. It's right back here, and this is just going to help us because it'll give us one more way to discuss this concept of balance, which I think is really important. All right, I learned this when I was 12 years old. We can get some house lights up. This would be great. I'm going to just jump up. Can you slide that deck of cable, Nate, just over a little bit? Sorry, I don't want to run it over. Perfect. Thank you. And I'm going to just go say hello to my friends in the back. In the cheap seats. How we doing over here? Yes, very good. Hello, everyone. Oh, hello. Okay, bleachers. All right, very nice, very nice. Okay, enough of that. You know, when I first tried to ride a 6-foot unicycle, I learned a lot about balance super quickly. First of all, I tried it like this. I thought I'd be closer to the ground to be careful. And I'm sorry about the view behind me. But what I realized is if I looked at the ground, where would I go? Down to the ground quickly. We are drawn toward where we focus. The only way to feel a sense of control in an off-balance environment where we live and work is to elevate your vision. Look up, further than others are willing to look. But then you tell me, in order to go forward, what is my first move? What did I do? You lean in, you go off balance. But you go off balance on purpose. You lean forward, you start falling toward your face, and then you chase your body with a unicycle. It's scary. But if I'm apprehensive about going forward, I may start going backsliding. Or maybe I'm just gonna stay where I am, because I'm comfortable. This is called idling. It's the illusion of progress or productivity. It's like, check me out, I'm still right here. Because you're stopping your progress. No, we don't want that. We want you to continuously lean in, to double down on your commitment, to take your ambition and put it into action with the motion that you bring. Woo! The equation, so that you too can take your stage with excellence. Put forward, So I'm going to just slide this guy back here, and I'm going to bring this out really, really quickly. But that visual may help you think about your life. Are you leaning? When are you idling? And when are you going backwards? Can we bring up the last slide? So I mentioned lifelines to you guys, and staying in touch and connected. I've got one story after this when this is done, but this is really important because about 2 years ago, I started giving away to my audiences a gift. Every week I produce a 2.5-minute coaching video because ambition requires fuel. It really does. You're going to feel great when you get out of here. Your tank will be filled up to the max when you get back to real life. And here's what I like to do is I take these ideas wherever I am and I put them into action. I mentioned lifelines. My son Eddie, who's now a sophomore at Berklee College of Music in Boston, is also a phenomenal editor. So Eddie works with me. We collaborate every single week. He edits the weekly video. We get it out Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern on time, on the dot. That's my promise, right? And so when you see these videos, and I shot one of them this morning in right here around Dallas, around this area, and it's inspired by all of you. You'll know that Eddie he edited that, and this is our creative project. So this is a lifeline lesson for me, because I'm here to share value with you. But what I'm sharing these words of wisdom, who do you think I'm really also talking to? My son. And I know he's watching it because I paid him. Right? And he's grateful for the words, but we're both grateful for the collaboration. So I shot this video. I shot this in downtown Dallas. And what we didn't do, I said I didn't finish it. But because it was inspired by all of you and by the concept of ambition, what I thought we might do is finish it together. Would that be okay? Yeah. Okay. So this is, again, if you want to get the videos, if you take out your cell phone, you text the word lifelines, no space, just the word lifelines to that number. Also, my daughter Maggie is managing my Instagram. She would love it if I got your Instagram followers. That's official Dan Thurman on Instagram and some other messages as well. And again, Rose, you can connect with me as well there. Instant message me and whatnot. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say the last line of the video, which I've kind of cued myself so I can remember it. And then I'm going to say the last line is, until next week, stay off balance. And then all of you are going to shout back, on purpose. All right? Okay. And then you can cheer, and I'll move the camera around a little bit. This isn't the end of the speech, though, so don't go too crazy. This is more to come. You can go a little crazy, okay? Are you with me? Let's try it again. So until next week, stay off balance.
On purpose.
That's great. We want it to sound like a big crowd. All right, so I'm going to start rolling the camera. Here we go. Make today the day that you answer these questions and embark on a new ambition. Or if that journey is already underway, turn up the Y power to speed your progress and spread your influence. Until next week, stay off balance.
On purpose!
Thank you. I so appreciate that. So let me tell you also why I want to stay in touch with you guys. And this will be the last story that I share. And that's this. You never know who's in your audience. You never know who's in your audience. That's a foundational belief that has really served my career every step of the way. That is why I have the clients that I have. That's why I have the friends that I have. That's why Walter and I are buddies, right? Because you never know who's out there. So 15 years ago, my cell phone rings and I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And a voice on the other end I'd never heard before says, "Hello, Dan. This is John Goddard, the lifeless guy."
Wow.
Me. And here's why. 6 months before that, I did another speech in Nashville. Actually, this is in Charlotte, North Carolina, for a younger audience. It was national leaders from high schools all across the country. And I talked about John Goddard. I told his story, and I talked about how his life and his list impacted my life and my ambition. You gotta imagine, again, I was 17 years old. I was about to go to college. And by then, my family had moved from Chicago, where I grew up, down to Georgia. I had grown my one-man show into a pretty successful business. I was working through a number of different agents in the Atlanta area because I could do all these different variety skills. I had a solid show that I could do corporate clients and whatnot. And I was making good money. In fact, my parents, and probably what was the greatest sales close ever, you'll appreciate this. They said, "You know, Dan, you're doing really well with this business. I'll bet that if you paid for your own education, it'll be that much more meaningful." And I was like, "Sure, I'll do it. Let's make that happen." And so I went to the University of Georgia. And John's list caused me to think bigger about growing my business into a company that I could then book other acts. And it could be not just about my business or my show, but about entertainment at a bigger level and produce events. This is what I did through school. I got a business education while growing my company. I was kind of like my own case study. And I was also very fascinated with speakers and authors and people who talked about excellence. And I was just hungry for learning all of that myself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was at this point, and after my speech, a young lady walked up to me. Her name was Renee. And she said, "Thank you for talking about John Goddard. That happens to be my uncle."
Oh.
You never know who's in your audience, right? And I talked to Renee, and I told her that one of my goals was to meet her uncle. And so she wrote him a letter, and he was responding to that letter just then. He said, "Dan, how do you use my story And I said, well, I talk about goal setting. And he said, I think the problem is most people don't set their goals high enough. They don't feel the excitement that comes from pursuing something that's truly compelling. And he asked me what I thought, and I said, I agree. I also think that most people don't write them down. And he said, oh, Dan, it all starts there. When you write down a goal, you activate all the forces around you to bring the opportunities into your existence. You've got to write it down. And then he asked me, well, Dan, how many goals do you think I've achieved? Well, I knew the answer. I knew that of the original list of 127, he had achieved 112. But I wanted to flatter him, so I aimed a little bit lower. And I said, well, Dr. Goddard, if you could have achieved 100 of those goals, that would be amazing. And what he said next blew my mind. He said, Dan, I wrote that list when I was 15 years old. Surely you don't think that's all I've aspired to do. He then told me his list was now over 600 goals. Of those, he'd achieved 520. But you have to understand, he wasn't bragging. He was excited about his life. He was asking me, what's on your list? What can I learn from you? Because I've never met a man or woman I couldn't learn from. We became great friends. I saw John every time I was in California. We'd go by his house in La Cañada. We'd go hiking in the mountains. He came to Atlanta to see my family. And even on John's 80th birthday, get this, he and I journeyed together to Egypt, back on the Nile River, to celebrate the anniversary of his #1 accomplishment and his 80th birthday. Of course, we weren't in a kayak, we were in a cruise ship. And then, 6 years ago, when John passed away, which we knew was coming, he lost his battle with cancer, his wife Carol called me, and she said, Dan, John's wish, if you'll do it, is to officiate his celebration of life ceremony. Would you please? Now, I want you to imagine that event from the perspective of the 17-year-old kid who just learned that this guy even lived, even existed. And you can see that that would have never been impossible to hold in my mind as an ambition or as a goal or even as a possibility. And my friends, the message here is that the best gifts and the greatest blessings of your life will come to you, not because you sought them out or even because you wrote them down, but because you showed up and you acted on your planning and on your intentions, and you paid attention in the moment to say yes to other opportunities, to make connections, to build the relationships. Because at this event where we met John's family, the fellow adventurers from all over the world, educators and world leaders, they all said the same thing. He made me feel more special, more capable. My capacity was bigger because of his presence in my life. And he called me his kindred spirit. I thought he just said that to me. He said it to everybody. So here's the deal. The full impact of your life will never be known by you or even by those who knew you. Because the ripple effects of your ambition will go further than you can ever see today. So what's on your list? Are your goals big enough? And what are you going to do next? God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Fantastic first day. All the speakers, everybody, just a wonderful day, and I can't think of a better way to end it. So that concludes today, guys. Go to the Energy Center, it's open. Thanks for all you do. Hit the Image Store, get your rest, because we're starting right early tomorrow. Thank you for everything.